I want to take you back for a minute to a Wednesday in 2009. I don't know what time of year it was specifically. At the time, I was living in Orlando, Florida. And for those of you who don't know, Florida has 2 seasons. It's hot and hot as hell. So I'm not exactly sure which time of year it was. But I know it was a Wednesday because Wednesday back in 2009 for me was staff meeting days, right? At the company where I was working. I was the director of engineering for a tech firm. It was in my late 20s at the time. And Wednesday staff meeting days also meant that it was donut day. So the cool thing about donut days and staff meeting Wednesdays is that during the staff meeting, I'd be in there and I wouldn't eat any donuts, right? Because I was a composed, restrained man of control. But as soon as the meeting was over and everybody went back to their office, I would sneak back in the conference room and I would literally double fist. Like I would grab 2 donuts, right? And I'd sneak back, scurry back to my office, hoping nobody would see me. And I get back to my office on this particular Wednesday and I walk in my office, big, beautiful office, huge wall of windows overlooking downtown Orlando. And Orlando is the home of Disney World and all my Jewish relatives who can't stand New York winters anymore. So that's kind of like what Orlando's all about, you know, right? Yeah. So I sit down in my big cushy leather chair and I pull up to my huge high definition monitors and I do what anybody in a leadership position does when they have a full day of work to do, right? I start surfing the internet. And so after a few minutes, I make it over to Amazon, because we all have Amazon, and I was searching for socks. And are any guys in here love socks? Yes, we have sock people. Look at my socks. Okay, so I'm into socks. These are Cub socks. I don't even care about the Cubs. They're just cool looking socks. So after about 20 minutes or so of searching on Amazon, I found an awesome pair of socks. 7 awesome pairs of socks. And I add them to my cart, and they're Amazon Prime, so I'm going to get them in 2 days, which is just badass. And I put in my credit card number, and as I stand up and I kind of hit submit on the order and I shove the last quarter of the second donut in my mouth, I see this message pop up on the screen I had never seen before. And the message was, card declined. Okay, whatever, not a big deal. So I sit back down, I re-input my card number and expiration date and CVV code that's going to like protect humanity or whatever. And I hit submit again, and this time I get the same message, card declined, but with a new message tacked onto the end. Please call your bank for further assistance. Okay, so that may not seem like a big deal to you guys, but to me, back in this time of my life in 2009, I had a really bad temper. So it didn't matter if I spilled water on a tile floor or my house burned down, I would just react with rage. I had no control over my emotions. And that's what I did. I threw my chair back into the wall, I snatched my cell phone off the table, and I fling open my office door, and I stomp out into the lobby of my office complex, and I call my bank, and of course I mash the stupid 0 button 50 times because I just want to speak to a live friggin' person, and finally I get Stephen on the phone, and Stephen's so sweet, because that's what Stephen does. And Stephen says, "Thank you for calling telephone banking. This is Stephen speaking. How can I help you?" And I wanted to curse him out, but I didn't. But I did demand to know why my socks were not at some mail sorting facility right now, and why my card had been declined, right? And so Stephen said, "Well, Mr. Goldberg, it looks like there was some potentially fraudulent activity on your account, so we deactivated your card just to protect your assets until we can investigate the charges." I said, "That's weird. Like what, somebody hacked my account, they stole my credit card? I don't get it. What are these fraudulent charges?" And what Stephen would tell me would fundamentally change my life forever. See, what you don't know about me yet is that from a very young age, I was described as somebody with a great personality. And if you've never been described as somebody with a great personality, at least for me, it was because I was fat. So from the age of 15, I was 250 pounds. Raise your hand if you remember what it's like to be 15 years old, when kids are really compassionate and loving. And I was a hopeless romantic too, so like I just became the conduit to all my cute friends. Little Sally comes up and says hi to me. I'm like, "Oh my God, she likes me." And she's like, "Hey, what's up with Jelly? What's the situation?" So as time went on, it got worse. And so at this moment in 2009, when I was talking to Stephen on the phone, I had gotten up to 332 pounds. I was 35% body fat, morbidly obese, dying a slow death. And there was so much stress and anxiety and depression inside me that sometimes I thought about just, what if I just wasn't here anymore? And I had a lot of excuses as to how this had happened, right? How I had gotten so big. I was raised by a single Jewish mother, so she can hear everything we're saying, so I have to be a little bit careful. And she worked a lot. She still does to this day. And so pizza and fast food, it was kind of a staple, right? It's like what we ate in the house a lot. And I lived in Florida. Too hot to go outside and play. I had to stay inside and play video games. And there's genetics. Genetics is great. Genetics is one of those things where you can know nothing about it and blame it with all the confidence in the world, right? Oh, it's my genetic. I'm big boned, like a stegosaurus, like right. So I blamed all those things. But the key was it was never under my control. I was always a prisoner of circumstance. There was always something outside of me pushing down on me, and that's why I was overweight in my mind. So I demanded to know, Stephen, tell me, what are these fraudulent charges? What did these idiots take from me? What have they done to hijack my day and my money and my emotions? And Stephen says, well, Mr. Goldberg, it looks like there were 4 fast food transactions yesterday, all in one day, across Orlando. And so we assumed somebody had stolen your card, and they were testing it at different locations to see if it would still work. Oh. No, those weren't fraudulent charges. That was me. I ate at all those places. You can reactivate the card. Thanks for your time. How out of control do you think you have to be in your life for a multi-billion-dollar bank to say, you're done? You're cut off. And for me, that was the day the universe cut me off. You're done. So my question for you is, where has the universe cut you off? Where has the universe tried to show you something that's for your greater good, even if it's wrapped in a painful experience? I don't know what it is for you, but I know it's happened. The question is, did you pay attention? It may be when somebody you love turned to you and said, if you don't get your anger under control, I am going to leave you. It may have been the bank that said, we are foreclosing on your home because you're so delinquent on your mortgage payments. It may be your doctor saying, if you don't get your cholesterol and your blood pressure under control, you will not see 50. In fact, there may have been something that actually drove you to come here today. Where's the universe cut you off that made you say to yourself, this is where I need to be? It's happened. I know it has, and I know you know it has. And it's painful, and it sucks, and it feels like a punishment sometimes. And it brings up these feelings of blame and shame and guilt and embarrassment. So nobody wants to talk about it. I mean, when I talk about embarrassment, when I hung up the phone with Stephen from the bank, I saw there was powdered sugar in the phone from the last donut I'd eaten. I had a real problem. But what I've learned is that you can take these wake-up calls, these experiences, these gifts from the universe, and actually use them to change your life. And that's a big part of this weekend, is recognizing that, like I did for me, it wasn't that I needed more home-cooked meals, or more comfortable weather, or better genetics in order to take control of my life. It was choice. The key element I was missing in my life was self-leadership, personal responsibility. And so what I did when I finally realized that is that I took control of my health and I was able to lose 130 pounds over the course of the next 2 years. This is where you cheer, guys. Guys, come on. I'm trying to be a professional. And I'd love to tell you that changed everything, but it didn't. It changed a lot. It was great to lose the weight and feel better about myself, but what I realized later on was that the wake-up call I was getting from the universe wasn't just about my physical weight. It was about these other types of weight that I was carrying around too. This mental weight, this spiritual weight, this emotional weight, the depression, the anger, the hopelessness, the helplessness. And to make things worse, it wasn't just some weight, some intellectual exercise of me carrying around this other form of weight. That weight was actually causing me to wait to do and be the things I wanted to be in the world. It was the source of me waiting to do the things that I knew I was capable of doing. I was overweight in all these different areas of my life. I was waiting to leave my corporate job because I was so sure that I had tied my self-worth to my net worth, that without that title, without that 6-figure salary, who would I be? I wouldn't have a purpose. I wouldn't have an identity. I was waiting to start my speaking and coaching business because without the proper avatar and perfect website, I wouldn't be taken seriously. I waited to bring my silly and goofy side into my business because nobody would hire a guy that leads with humor. I even waited to have weight loss surgery because I was so afraid that people would say, he's weak. He couldn't do it on his own. What a loser. So I want you to think about this for a minute. Where are you holding on to weight and weight in your life? Where are you holding on to weight and weight? See, I know I give a lot of credit to Stephen on the phone at the bank for changing my life, but the fact of the matter is that if I hadn't responded to that wake-up call with a real sense of ownership, of courage, of confidence, of self-leadership, then come this week, I'd still be working 80 hours a week at that job. And I'd still be heavy with weight and waiting in my life. And come this Wednesday, I'd still be shoving donuts in my mouth to numb the pain that I was feeling. So you guys all came here with some kind of intention, some kind of purpose, whether it's wanting a certain kind of relationship or career or business or just some major change in your life so you can feel the way you want to feel. And I urge you, I beg you to realize that you have a choice to create and not wait for what it is that you most want. Thank you.